So I finally got a chance to play the MVP Glitch World Championship Qualifier at Stonebridge Church over the weekend, and it went badly. Much worse than I could have expected. In this video, I'm going to go over that in more detail and relate some of my personal reflections after the fact. But with that said, I've arrived here at Spring Baptist Church, a disc golf course here out in front of it. They haven't quite mowed it yet, but they will be soon because it's now dried out. And I'll just play around in disc golf while telling you how it went. Let's go. Okay, unfortunately for me, I didn't think to bring my tripod, so I'm using my cart. So the field of view isn't going to be as good as it normally is. With that said, I'm just going to throw just a round of disc golf and I'll tell you how things went. I'm just going to go throw that way for this first hole. There we go. Pretty good. So first of all, it didn't go just badly for me. It went badly for Sean as well. We had much worse performances than the practice round, which is the video before this one here. We completely obliterated those scores. It was so much worse. Sean came in 26th place. I came in 28th place. There's one other person, new player I think, that got 29th place. That was the final score, the final placement on the leaderboard, the lowest score. But yeah, I nearly got last place. And the reason I didn't get last place was I made 3 hellacious putts, like edge of circle 2, one was outside circle 2. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, it went badly for both Sean and I. We were both pretty upset by the end of it. You know, that's not too bad, but to be honest, I don't expect to be on my game today. So I want you to keep in mind that Sean and I are very familiar with the glitch. And even though I traded mine to Chance last year, he let me borrow it for the previous, I don't know what, 2-3 weeks. And I basically got myself reacquainted with the disc. And Sean, of course, throws the glitch pretty much every round we play, and he's got tons of throw-ins. I think he's got like 7 or 8 throw-ins on this channel and several throw-ins we never recorded. So we expected to do a little better than we did. Okay, so what happened, you might ask? Well, you might remember the concept of feel versus real. Well, let me introduce you to the concept of ideal versus real. Well, I got one out there. Okay, that'll work. Basically, Sean and I had kind of an idea of how we were going to perform, having played a practice round and being used to the glitch by then. And we had sort of not a conservative strategy, but we had a confident strategy of how to play. And most importantly, we wanted to have fun. That's all I want. Basically, we kept making a lot of mistakes, and we're playing a wooded course and things just compounded. It just got worse and worse, and our mental situation, our mental game got worse and worse, and it just became an almost unbearable round to play. And before I go any further, first of all, I want to apologize to my other 2 card mates. Sean and I, we played with 2 other people, Nathan and Travis. And those guys, they played very well, but they were also very, kind and understanding to us, very supportive. They can see that we were going through a lot. But I wanted to say, not just, I'm sorry that we didn't perform well and we were mopey, the last half of the round at least. I want to thank you for being so kind and generous, because they could tell we were going through a lot of pain, and they were very empathetic towards us. By the way, here's my leopard. I brought it back temporarily because it flips a little bit more. Okay, all right, my first adversity. All right, it took me actually forever to find this disc. 2-3 minutes. I actually found it, grabbed my cart, moved it back. Had to look for it again. All right, 170 to the basket, 175, something like that. That's pretty good. I mean, even if I get a bogey on this hole, considering I screwed up so badly and had to deal with all this, I'm okay with the bogey. So basically, not only was our performance a lot worse than that practice round, it was just probably our worst performance playing a disc golf round, probably in years. Like, we were just so off. Everything we did just compounded errors. Okay. I did a few putts like that in the tournament. We'll get to that later. One of the things I wanted to mention is the more we played that tournament, the worse it got. And really, by the end of it, how badly we played, we were done with disc golf. All right, this is like 215 feet. I'm just going to use mid-range, hopefully. There we go. Okay, that was a lot better than my last tee off. And I think what happened in retrospect, now that I've had a lot of time to think about it, because it's actually Monday, the 2 days after the tournament, we just kept reverting to bad form. We were just throwing like we used to 2-3 years ago. You know, that's the way it felt like to me. Some of the stuff I was doing caused results that I only did 2+3 years ago, and I'll explain that more later. And basically, I realized that I would throw on hyzer, and I would just put some sort of English on the disc, like turning over the wrist, like rolling it or something, to where it'd come out on hyzer, but it'd wobble so much, and then it would basically just drift. Well, that was fatal for me on hole 6, which is the par 4 with the water hazard alongside it. Got my animal. I'm just going to throw with hyzer towards that basket, 174 feet. Okay, I got a putt. Okay, this sucks. The tree is perfectly in line with this, so I'm hoping you guys aren't too obstructed by this. Let's go. And you know, the problem with throwing a glitch is if you have any sort of form error, it basically accentuates what you're doing. And so for me, I naturally have wobble when I throw, and so the disc flips up more. Same thing when I do sidearm, it has a lot of wobble, so I have to put it on more hyzer. And that's basically the game plan, throw it like that. But it got to where no matter how much hyzer I put it on, I was reverting in my form, because I was basically standing up like that, and of course throwing with wobble. And so on hole 6, you might remember I had 3 glitches to train with, 2 that I bought and 1 I was borrowing from Chance. Well, you know, the player pack came with a couple more, so I had 2 at the bottom, 3 at the top of the putter pocket. And off the tee, hole 6, I threw with what I thought was a lot of hyzer, and I threw it in such a way it basically did this, plopped in the water. I went to where that went out of bounds, faced more this way, more hyzer, but I still did whatever it was, put all English on it, and that flopped into the water. At that point, I had lost it. That may have been Chance's disc. So I grabbed my 3rd glitch where I last went out, which is close to where the other basket was, threw it, plopped out, did the same thing. I lost 3 glitches in 3 throws, all in the same hole. I was livid. I just sat on my cart for about a minute. The others played and did what they could. And then I basically putted from where that was out and then tapped in. But yeah, absolutely miserable experience. And I lost 3 glitches in the span of 2 minutes, maybe 3, all in one hole. Okay. And you know, the funny thing is, by the time I get to the next hole, which is hole 7, you have to throw over the water. And I threw my 4th and final glitch. The 5th disc that I had was a pitch, and I just barely made it over. That's how bad it was. I tried putting less on it, I tried putting more hyzer on it, and it just barely made it over. 95 feet from the basket. I wish I played this well 2 days ago. You know, ultimately the reason why we perform so badly is we have bad swings. Ultimately, we don't throw correctly, and so it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of accuracy, in distance, and I believe it makes us more prone to injury and super bad rounds that make us want to quit disc golf. You know what's funny? I played to the wrong basket here, played to the much farther basket, which I'm glad I parred it, but the real basket, the hole 6, is over there. So take 2, I'm gonna play that instead. But Yeah, going back to the thing about the swing, you know, in golf, you know, they have, you know, a driving range. In baseball, they have like a batter's cage, you know, pitcher's area. I don't know what you call that stuff. It's been 30 years since I've even played baseball. You know, every sport has a way of working on things. Disc golf has a way of working on forms, such as, you know, practice throwing in a field, in a net, practice on a course, you know, whatever, and practice putting. And the thing is, Sean and I spend a lot of time practice putting, not so much independently, but we'll show up at a course, place, you know, get ready to play disc golf. Maybe we're waiting for someone. We'll practice putt a few minutes or whatever, and then we'll go play. We don't practice throw. And I think that's what's hurting us. Anyways, let's try again for this basket. There we go. Oh, see, that is kind of, in a nutshell, what I was doing. I was trying to throw slide hyzer, and something about my body just pulls it over. Well, just like last time, I'm 95 feet away from the basket, so try forehand rhino instead. So the thing to think about is, if you have bad form, you're creating a low ceiling for yourself, like in terms of distance and accuracy and control, stuff like that. But you're also creating a very low floor in terms of, you know, how bad you play, how bad you throw, how far the disc ends up off track, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's why, in my opinion, Sean and I need to work on our swings a bit, just to get a basic swing similar to what, you know, baseball and other sports have. That was the weirdest feeling putt I've had all day. And you know, I don't say that about my putting, for example. I'm probably a rec level thrower, but an advanced level putter. That's not to say I don't have a lot of bad putts, yips, the usual stuff, you know, my off moments. But when I'm on, it gets pretty fucking crazy. I've you know, beaten local pros at the putting league. I've saved a lot of strokes, a lot of scores with really good putting. So real quick, from here, the best line is a straight line here, but if you got the power, you're gonna go over that way and just to go for par. Now, I think I've birdied this once, but that's really not in play here. So I'm just gonna throw it that way and let it hyzer down. Oh yeah, that's perfect. All I wanna do is get around that tree. But one thing I haven't talked about, which I should, has nothing to do with the throw. It's not throwing, it's not putting, it's not forehand or backhand or anything like that, overhand. It's mental game. And this has been a long overlooked problem of mine, really since before disc golf, but disc golf has sort of exacerbated it in terms of making it much worse. And I just get into a funk, and then I stop being able to play effectively. Like right now, I'm just having a chill round, haven't really had any problems. But if I'm overstressed and I get too distracted, not really focusing, and then I throw too quickly, and I make a bunch of mistakes, I have bad form, you know, that's something I gotta deal with. We're 65 feet from the basket. I don't have a direct shot, and I'm gonna see how far I can get with this putt. Ho, 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 ho. Pin high, baby. But there is a key difference I wanna point out. Now, because of my level of putting, I can actually be angry and putt really effectively. I can often very quickly just step up and putt, and it goes in simply because I have good mechanics and I've ironed them out well enough over the years to where, generally speaking, I can putt with a minimum of thought, and I can deal with stressful situations and still putt through it. I mean, unless I have like a yip or something and that makes it worse, but generally speaking, I've made some of my best putts mad. You know, it would have been ironic if I missed that, going through all the speech about how good a putter I am. So the thing I want to talk about is the difference between putting mad and throwing mad, or, you know, putting under distress and throwing under distress. If you had bad form, it makes it much easier to throw something that's wild and uncontrolled and off track. So, plus you're putting more force onto the disc than a putt generally, so it goes farther, so it has a higher chance of really grievous error. So that's one of the reasons I've been working on my swing recently. I've been doing some interesting drills. I'll get to you in the future. But anyways, so got an animal I'm going to throw to the correct basket. You see that? That was partly due to a drill I've been doing recently. Now, to be honest, I've only been able to work on this in standstill. I'll go into another video, but I've been working on my form, having some decent results for at least standstill because I've been doing some things differently. I'll make a video on that and when I make more progress. Ooh, crushed. You know, I will say this about the glitch, that did not happen too much. I think it happened once out of 18 holes, but realistically, with all the putting practice I've been doing with the glitch, they don't go as far. Like, I think if I had putted with the glitch and hit that, it would have just fell in. So that's something to think about. The glitches are decent. I'm not bagging on the glitch, I'm bagging on myself. So the main thing Sean and I need to do is work on our form, but in particular, I need to work on mental game. Sean typically has a much better mental game than myself, but he also kind of plummeted and crashed. Once he started making enough mistakes, you know, he wasn't playing as much of good golf as he normally could have. And Sean's a very smart guy, but he's not just smart, he's very wise. And you guys don't see that as much because he's always joking around on camera, but he's one of the wisest people I know, which unfortunately I put this out on video, so he's gonna use that against me. Anyways, I'm gonna throw my leopard with some hyzer. Yes, sir. Pin high. Now, mind you, I forgot to try my drill with my throw. I did that on the previous hole, forgot to do it on the previous standstill or two, but whatever. Well, since we're here, we're on the final hole, I'll give you a sneak preview as to what I've been working on. You guys don't mind, I hope. So basically what I'm trying to do is stand still, have a wider stance, feet kind of parallel like this kind of pushed back. But one of the problems I have is I typically get this sort of athletic stance and then I lean back like that, or realistically I lean back like that. So by assuming a wider stance, you know, aligning myself in the direction of the throw, when I do this, I coil more. I actually rotate my shoulders more, and that's what I need. Because a lot of times what I do is I do this, and that's rounding. This acute angle is not mechanically efficient as this angle is. So by allowing myself to turn more, I can get a little bit more coil and in theory more distance with the standstill. So it's very formative right now, but I'm going to throw this chariot and we're going to see what happens. And you see I've got a lot to work on still, but look at that. I almost aced that basket. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and digress, but essentially the round didn't go well. I wish it did, and I just did far worse than ever. And just looking at the U-disc rating of that round, it was the lowest U-disc rated round I've ever played. You know, they got a little rating system now for the last several months. It's the lowest by far. And yeah, well, that's going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and try to put this in, being a, you know, advanced level putter. You know. Go figure. Yeah, well, this one was even better, so I can't complain about that. Oh man, but that is going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry this was a little bit rambly. I did actually script all this, you know, so I wouldn't forget what I wanted to say. But I managed to say it all by the end of 9 holes plus a bonus 6th hole. That's going to do it. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.